Isn't it fascinating how pretty much any cryptocurrency seems to have this invisible ceiling? This here, for example, that's Ethereum. Ethereum has a hard time getting above $4,850. Here is Litecoin. It tops out at $360. And here is Solana, the topic of this video. It has an extremely hard time to get above $260. The problem with those charts though is that those are US dollar charts, and we all know how there's a lot of correlation within crypto, right? When Bitcoin is going up, when Ethereum is going up, then Solana tends to go up as well, and vice versa. When there's in general a crypto crash, Solana tends to crash as well. So really what matters is, should we buy asset A or asset B? Does it make sense to rotate within the crypto ecosystem? And so that's why I like to look at charts like this. This is the Solana dominance. How much of all of crypto is currently in Solana? And in the last 2 years, that tended to trade between 2% and 3.8%. And we are very low at that trading range. So if we are invested in crypto, if we have to buy something, does it potentially make sense to now get into Solana, given that it seems to be that cheap? Not so quick. Unfortunately, things are not that easy, because let's zoom out a little bit. We have seen Solana dominance at much lower levels in the past. It's 0.5%. We went from 2.9 to 0.5. Then came the sudden turnaround with a lot of trading of meme coins on the Solana chain. And really, the trading range that has been recently established is an inner trend within an overarching, much more important trend. And the question is, where will we go from here? Will we see this little bit of a bounce in the medium-term trend, or will the overarching trend prevail and will we crash from here? I think the second scenario, unfortunately, is more likely, because have a look at this. At the bottom, we've got the Bitcoin price, not Bitcoin dominance, but the Bitcoin price. And when Bitcoin tends to go down, when Bitcoin is in a bear market, then Solana tends to sell off even more, and Solana dominance tends to go down. When Bitcoin has bottomed and it goes up, then Solana dominance tends to go up as well. And Bitcoin has already seen a crash of roughly 50% from its all-time high. And if Bitcoin continues on its bearish trend, I think the second scenario, this one over here, is more likely for Solana. Because fundamentally, if we believe that the bull market is over because we have dropped by more than 50%, then it's very unlikely that we've already bottomed out. When we measure how much we crashed in the past in Bitcoin from the all-time high to the bear market bottom, that tend to be more of a drawdown than just 50%. This is what we see here in this chart. When we are at zero, then we're hitting all-time highs. When we are below zero, we are dropping a certain percent value below that all-time high. And it seems like from crash to crash, we might be getting a bit more of a muted version of a bear market, right? In 2015, we went down by 85% from the all-time high. In 2018, it was only 82%. And in 2022, it was only 75%. But still, we are not nowhere close a potential bear market bottom. If this support prevails, we would crash by 72-73% from the all-time high. What does that then mean in terms of price development? A 70% drop from the all-time high would bring us to 37K. So that means from the current price down, we'd have another 40% decline from here. And that, of course, would not be great for Solana dominance as well. Since Solana used to be a levered bet on Bitcoin, it tended to crash more during a bear market. It tended to go up more during a bull market. If we are in a bear market, the bear market continues, Solana will likely go down even more. Thus, Solana dominance is likely going to go down more as well. Here is the TVL, the total value locked on the Solana chain over time measured in US dollars. And here's the same measured in Solana. And we could make the argument, if we measure how much capital is currently on the Solana chain, we actually still see adoption. This is still going up. But what's interesting is that the usage of decentralized finance, that's pretty much what total value locked is measuring, is a lagging indicator. Because this here topped out in June of 2022. But in US dollars, we already topped out in November of 2021. So that was roughly 7-8 months before the usage of decentralized finance turned around. So this might simply just be another early indicator. We are going down since September of 2025. So maybe in a month or two, we will also see the TVL measured in Solana finally turn around. The decentralized exchange trading volume on the chain measured in US dollars is somewhat constant, but unfortunately this measure is also somewhat conceiving, because when we look at the active addresses, how many people are actually using Solana, that is not going up. A lot of the trading volume we see over here is simply just bots. Here is the number of active addresses. This is declining since October of 2024, so 1.5 years of a shrinking ecosystem. Most trading fees in the ecosystem get generated by the pump.fun Memecoin launchpad. But who really wants to trade meme coins in a market like this? In the last 24 hours, we saw 10 billion worth of trading volume on the Solana chain. On PumpSwap, so the decentralized exchange of the pump.fun ecosystem, we saw 9 billion of trading volume. Really, I have my doubts that those 9 billion of trading volume are all just regular users. This is very likely wash trading. This is very likely bot trading. Because how else do we explain the following? The pump ecosystem is buying back pump tokens with the fees that get generated. So far, that has been 300 million worth of pump tokens, and it tends to go up over time. Since the 9th of October, we see more and more purchases of pump tokens. But since that point in time, Pump relative to the rest of the altcoin market underperformed by 45%. If there are all of those buybacks, why does the Pump token underperform? Explain this to me. It does not look like regular purchases here. I've got the impression that there's just a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of number shuffling going on. This is not natural at all. Here's the Pump token relative to Solana. The dotted line is the average ratio of the two. We tend to trade in a range, and currently the momentum is rather negative. Pump could underperform the already poorly performing Solana by another 40% from here. And the reason for that is token unlocks. The team over time gets more and more tokens. The early investors get more and more tokens as well. And it's unlikely that the market can absorb all of that additional supply. And whenever supply grows faster than demand, then there is net marginal selling, then the price tends to go down. And so I think those ceilings will prevail. I do think that Solana will continue to have a hard time, especially if the market continues to sell off, which I expect, again, because prior bear markets had been much more severe. And why we can't be certain about anything, because everything is possible in crypto, I think it's reasonable to follow patterns that have been established in the past. Very often, those kinds of patterns just become self-reinforcing loops. When the market thinks that it's in a bear market, that we'll continue to see falling prices, then there won't be much purchases and there will be more selling. And so things just become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If the market, however, thinks that we are already very cheap because we've already fallen 70% from the all-time high, we might see first people that buy for the long term, that pick up the pieces. And that then in the end really stabilizes the price. Until we've seen a clear stabilization of the general crypto market, I think it's too dangerous to buy Solana right now. It's better just to go with the general momentum, right? The trend is your friend until, of course, things turn around, until valuations become cheap enough. But we have seen in the past what Solana is capable of, right? From the all-time high at the end of 2021 to the bear market low at the beginning of 2023, Solana fell by 96%. That's the levered game we are playing. Bitcoin goes down by only 70%, Solana goes down by much more than that. What I find fascinating is just how bad the altcoins are doing. This is the performance in the last year. And just have a look at how poorly some of those altcoins did. Minus 84%, minus 95% even over here. Many minus 80s as well. And the others' dominance, the measure of how much of all of crypto is currently in the altcoins that are not in the top 10, that's going down since the beginning of 2022. The altcoins have underperformed on average by 62%. Now this is only measured in market cap. And there is a strong distinction to be made here, because market cap developments are very different from price developments. Here is what I mean. This is how many new tokens get unlocked every single week, at least for the tokens that have been tracked on Tokenomics.ai. This tends to be close to 1 billion of additional potential sell pressure. So early investors, venture capitalists, they get tokens that they can unload. The team, they get tokens that they can then sell. There's always a party that gets those new tokens, and that might lead to additional supply, depressing the price. Really, the reason for this are people like this, Andreessen Horowitz, or like this, Sam Altman. On the topic of Sam Altman, right, the founder of OpenAI, he's also supporting a project called WorldCoin. This is the number of WorldCoin tokens over time. And of course, developers and investors get more and more tokens unlocked every single month. And so this is then what that means. Just have a look at the following two data points. So we've got the WorldCoin price close to $10 over here. It lost 95% of its value. It's currently at 40 cents. Have a look at the same data point in terms of market caps. That was at 1.4 billion and is now at 1.3 billion. So the market cap has barely changed. The market cap maybe went down by 25% or so. The price went down by 95%. That difference is token dilution. That difference is payouts by the Andreessen Horowitz and Sam Altmans of this world. That's why the picture looks the way it does. And so there are two potential ways to deal with this, right? We can just forget about the altcoins altogether because it's a rigged game. Or we can try to take this market structure to our advantages. We can bet on falling prices of altcoins, and that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. Here is my monthly outperformance over buying and holding Bitcoin over the last 5.5 years, roughly. The dotted line here, that's the 12-month moving average. So we are now close to an all-time high in terms of 12-month outperformance versus Bitcoin. And that's then my portfolio. That also includes dollar cost averaging. So that's a combination of saving money and outperformance. The outperformance over here is, by the way, 2.3% per month if we average out all of those data points. And so I started a copy trading pool last year as well. Bitcoin during the time period lost 25%. We made 17.3%. And so there's another copy trading pool this year, 2026. It's described over here, the relative valuation altcoin trading. It's running on a platform called Hyperliquid. 10% of the gains are profit share. There's a 5% deposit tax. And there's also other strategies that you can take advantage of. For example, here, the Ethereum trend following. Over here, the Bitcoin trend following. Here's our performance for Bitcoin trend following. It's currently got an APR of 55%. And here's our performance for the Ethereum moving average vault. It made 40% so far, and it's the best performing trading strategy on the entire platform. Ethereum trend following is on Gravity. So those are all our automated copy trading capital pools. This is all available to the premium members of this channel. Premium is available for $125 per month. You can simply just deposit on the first month, and if you don't like the content, if you don't like the additional videos, etc., you can actually unregister after 1 month and just keep your capital running. If you want to save some money, you can also sign up for the yearly membership. Then you get $250 for free, and then you can also include the relative valuation trading capital pool. So the capital pool where we bet on falling altcoins, that's only available to the annual members. The other two trend following strategies, they are available for all members, so also for monthly subscribers. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Cheers.